Barbara Marchenko of Okanagan Falls, you could win a 2010 Nissan Rogue if a kickoff is returned for a touchdown in tonight's game. Thanks to Safeway's Touchdown to Win promotion, and if a second kickoff is returned, you could win $1 million. Off we go to Ivor Wynne Stadium. Here again, Chris Cuthberts and Glenn Suter.
Thank you, David. Let's kick off the Thanksgiving Day weekend with the back half of a home-and-home between the Edmonton Eskimos and the Hamilton Tiger Cats here at Ivor Wynne Stadium. And we hope your Thanksgiving Day weekend weather is as fine as this Friday night in the Hammer. Look at that temperature, although the wind might make it a little interesting.
Kevin Glenn completed 70% of his passes against Edmonton last week. One costly interception for a touchdown by Rod Davis hurt his football team. They lost by 2. Kevin Glenn looking to bounce back here at home. Ricky Ray, on the other hand, best game of the season for Ricky Ray. Just shy of 400 yards passing and 2 touchdowns without a mistake.
Well, Richie Hall's Eskimos looking for their first 3-game win streak in 5 years. Their first sweep of the Ticats since 2003. While on the other sideline, Marcel Belfay's Cats trying to avoid a 3-game losing streak. They need a win to get back to 500 and reclaim sole possession of second in the East. Here we go. Last 9 games between these two teams have been decided by a touchdown or less. And the short kick is taken at the 36-yard line. And Steve Schmidt is tackled immediately as Kevin Glenn and the Hamilton Tiger Cat offense takes the field.
Well, he's 10-10 as a starter for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And just off that opening play, it looked like Marquay McDaniel went down. We've highlighted him because of the big game he had against Edmonton, the leading receiver for Hamilton at 9 catches, 122. Dave Stala knocked out of that game, remember, a week ago, is back in the lineup at slot back here this evening. And Marwin Hayes back doing a lot of work in the community. More on that later in the game from Sarah Orleski on the sideline.
So already cause for concern for the Ticats as McDaniel is down, getting attention coming off a career best game last Sunday at Commonwealth. 9 catches, 122 yards, and 2 touchdowns in the game.
Oh, he's had 200-yard games on the year. One was the first out of the gate, and one was the last week versus Edmonton, as you mentioned. And having to play on those special teams, they're looking at that left knee. They don't want to lose the #1 receiver from a week ago.
Good news, as you mentioned, Dave Stala is able to suit up for the Tiger Cats tonight after that huge hit by Elliot Richardson last week. And McDaniel now on his feet and under his own power will head off.
Looks like he'll be okay. And sometimes the coaching staff will ask, especially early in the game, will ask a player that's nicked to stay on the ground while they get organized and look at backups and who should come in and what offensive sets need to be on the field. So look like Marquay McDaniel will be okay.
So Steve Schmidt will start on offense as a tight end for the Tiger Cats, who go to work at their 38-yard line. And Kevin Glenn inside toss, and there is Dave Stala back in the lineup and the initial first down of the game.
And Chris, the initial hit for Dave Stala, an important one, because he has to feel like he's comfortable and confident inside as he's going to come in and work right off of Maurice Mann to cut inside to the middle. And that's where he makes a living. He makes a living across the middle. So he needs to take that first hit, get that first tackle to feel like, okay, yeah, physically I'm all right.
Suffered a little bit of whiplash last Sunday on that hit, but gets 14 on the first offensive play. And now Glenn has it batted down. There's Rod Davis charging in. And what an impact he's made over the past couple of weeks.
Boy, to say he has a nose for the ball is an understatement. One highlighted here is Greg Peach because he's played so well over the last 4 games. But the other is Kai Ellis, who's back in the lineup, missed a couple of games. So the bookends are back for the Edmonton Eskimos. There's Rod Davis, back-to-back interceptions for touchdowns when you go back to Moncton and last week. And Elliot Richardson, we talked about Stala, it was Richardson who knocked him out.
And Davis with 7 tackles as well last week, forcing 2nd and 10. Glenn has to step up, and he'll take off looking for a block. And he's brought down by the middle linebacker, Maurice Lloyd, at the Edmonton 50. He'll be 3 yards short of a first down.
Short of a first down and looks like just out of field goal range. So Marcel Belfait, I'm sure, will send the punt team out and try and work for field position early in this game.
That wind we talked about off the top is a crosswind here, and field goals won't be easy tonight. Eric Wilbur will look for the corner. Into the air, short kick, and it will be fielded by Tristan Jackson at the 20. And the Cats all surround him quickly. A 30-yard punt and 2 on the return. Wendy's CFL on TSN. Friday Night Football is brought to you in part by Wendy's Baconator, the official hamburger of the CFL. And by Rona, proud sponsor of the Canadian Football League. Rona, doing it right. Eskimos go to work. First possession of the game for Edmonton starts at their 23-yard line. Ricky Ray looks to the far sideline and has a completion. Jamaica Rector with the catch at the Ticat bench.
Mentioned the great game by Ricky Ray a week ago. He gets Kamal Peterson back in the lineup at slot back. That extra receiver, he's been on the 9-game injured list with an Achilles problem. He is back. Fred Stamps, big game for Fred Stamps last week versus Hamilton. And the offensive line where Jeremy Parquet kept Stevie Baggs very quiet at rush end spot.
11 on the opening play and a first down. Here comes the blitz from Northman again out that far sideline. Big contact there by Bo Smith, but the Hamilton native Andrew Nowacki has the catch up at the 40-yard line and 5.
In September, Justin Hickman has 15 tackles and 5 sacks. He was on fire through the month of September, and that continues. Jamal Johnson, one of the most bizarre football plays you'll ever see a week ago. We'll show you that later on this evening. And Dylan Barker starting at safety. He's got to get that secondary together.
2nd and 5, and the bunch formation was in behind Ricky Ray. They scatter. Fred Stamps the catch, and a first down in front of Jeff Tisdale. And Stamps that heroic effort last week with the 10 catches, 181 and a touchdown.
Well, he's the trailer coming out of the backfield here, trying to get a nice run at it. The timing is real good as he's cutting right off his teammate to cut underneath and get inside position on Jeff Tisdale.
19th time he's caught a ball for a 2nd down conversion this year. Closing in on 1,000. And a first down up at the 48 as Ray directs traffic and Stamps in the backfield. And now it's Stamps taking that little outlet pass and cut down by the corner, Bo Smith.
Well, Fred Stamps missed 4 games. He's had 9 starts. And his per game production, number 1, 105 yards. Since he's returned, he's made 20 catches for 340 yards. That's how important he is to the offense for the Edmonton Eskimos.
He left the 1 game early, and basically those numbers are on a half season projected to just under a 2,000-yard season for number 2. 2nd and 6. Ray short drop, wants to go deep, and 2 receivers down there. The ball falls incomplete. Calvin McCarty and looked like Jamaica Rector in the same area.
You know, Ricky Ray, I'm not surprised for him to go deep because I've watched in this first series with the secondary for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, who are under a little scrutiny this week, and a lot of people saying they were the issue. And that linebacking core with Jamal Johnson, the secondary, were very aggressive in those first 3 or 4 plays, getting up tight, closing quickly on the ball. Wasn't surprised at all to see Ricky Ray try one deep.
So Noel Prefontaine comes on, and there's Marcus Thigpen awaiting. Short line drive kick, and on a couple of hops, Thigpen, quick move. Boy, we've seen that a few times this year. A flag at the end of the play as Thigpen returns it 22 up to the 47. Well, special teams can be interesting, none more so than this play by Jamal Johnson you referred to last week.
The most bizarre football play I've seen in my time in this game. He ran behind the Edmonton bench, not just behind it for a few yards. We're talking almost 30 yards behind the Edmonton bench, snuck back onto the field, and then his position sneaks right across and puts the hit on the returner. Actually had to leave the game because he was rattled and got a penalty for it. Maybe the most bizarre play I've seen in some time.
Ticats get to start at the Edmonton 50 after a 15-yard face mask penalty against Calvin McCarty. And Cobb with a good carry down to the 40 as we check in with Sarah Orleski.
Chris, we've been talking a lot about that Johnson run. It appears everybody else has as well. He told me that he started hearing it from teammates as soon as the game was done. It continued at the airport. It continued this week during film sessions and during their walkthrough. Also, Hamilton residents have even been giving it to him a hard time about that play. He did say he admits that he's never seen anyone do it in football either, and we certainly will not be seeing it from him tonight.
Well, first of all, it's a penalty. You can't hide behind the other bench for 30 yards and then sneak back on the field and hit somebody.
Quentin Porter with the sneak for the first down after Cobb had 9 on the initial carry.
By the way, for the record, if a player is pushed out of bounds, he can come back onto the field immediately and be part of the play, whether it be catching or making a tackle or anything like that. But you can't run down the field out of bounds and then re-enter at a different spot.
And somehow after that huge hit, he was the guy shaken up, not Tristan Jackson.
He did return, but he was rattled a little bit after the hit and had to go out for 3 plays and got the penalty.
Maybe he just didn't know where he was. First down at the 39-yard line. Kevin Glenn out in the flat, and that ball dropped by the former Edmonton Eskimo, a 3-year Eskimo wideout, Maurice Mann.
A couple of weeks ago against the BC Lions, Maurice Mann had a similar play where he took it to the house for a touchdown. I think in this play, he just thought he had a nice little bubble there, took a peek at all the good blocking in front of him, and forgot one thing. He forgot the mail.
So 2nd and 10.
3-by-2.
And Glenn has an open man. He's got Harlan Bruce for a first down inside the Edmonton 25-yard line, and the fans serenade Bruce.
Working one-on-one on Chris Thompson here. 7 interceptions on the season for Thompson, so this is a real good matchup. 2 excellent football players, but you can see with the speed of Harlan Bruce, he turns Thompson, makes him turn his hips, run deep, and when he does, he stops up and has a nice first down for Hamilton.
Just reclaimed the league lead in receiving yardage with that 16-yard grab, his 75th catch of the year. Ticats back onto the ground, and DeAndre Cobb wrestled down at the 22-yard line. 3 consecutive 100-yard games for Cobb, and Rod Davis amongst the tacklers for Edmonton.
Yeah, but there's been a but with DeAndre Cobb. I mean, he's been on fire of late when you look at his yardage. But he's also had some fumble issues over the last couple of games. I mean, the difference between the first 10 on average and the last 3, night and day. But a couple of fumbles have hurt the football team, and he's got to shore that area up.
So averaging just under 18 carries in the last 3 starts. 2nd and long. Here's Cobb out of the backfield. Molloy can't bring him down. Big first down for Cobb inside the 10. And once again, Kevin Glenn converts on 2nd and long.
Love the play call, too. 2nd and long to go ahead and throw the screen pass. You know the secondary is going to drop off on their men. So now it becomes linebacker against running back coming out of the backfield. DeAndre Cobb is in behind that goalpost. He's going to sneak out of there, look like he's going to block, check down, and then release. The execution is excellent, and Marwan Hayes right there with the big block on Maurice Lloyd.
1st and goal from the 7. Glenn looking down at the 2, and the catch is made by Matt Carter, dropped at the 1-yard line.
Hamilton Tiger Cats have been very good in the red zone. They've 59% of the time they've been down there, they've come away with touchdowns. That's second in the CFL, only to the Saskatchewan Roughriders, who are at 64%. So they have been productive when they've had their opportunities, and they're on the doorstep now.
Quentin Porter and the short yardage team check in. That includes Justin Hickman and Garrett McIntyre. Markway McDaniel in, and he goes in motion. And the pitch to the far side. Cobb, touchdown. DeAndre Cobb hits pay dirt. And the Ticats strike first.
And Weldon Brown, the corner for the Edmonton Eskimos, had a crack at DeAndre Cobb, and he makes a miss in the open field. Your running back has to make at least one guy miss. And for DeAndre Cobb, it's going to be number 35, Weldon Brown, as he gets to the corner. Here comes 35, flashes, nice cutback right in between the lane, and away he goes.
8th touchdown of the year for Cobb. DeAngelis lines the extra point through, and the Ticats score first at Iverwin. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Nissan. Shift the way you move. Cobb finishes it, the 7-play, 50-yard scoring drive, as Hamilton takes the 7-0 lead. It started with a 22-yard punt return by Marcus Thigpen and a 15-yard penalty, and then Kevin Glenn and DeAndre Cobb got the rest done. Sandro DeAngelis to kick it off. Big line drive boot. Tristan Jackson on the return up over the 25-yard line, brought down by Bo Smith. Edmonton on offense when we come back. Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by TELUS, proud sponsor of the Canadian Football League. So the Edmonton Eskimos trail in the first quarter, and nothing new for Richie Hall's team. That is been a problem spot all year. 106-30 in the first quarter, so they've had to come back most of the year. Ricky Ray's looked more able to do that of late. There's Ryan Hines stepping up to close down on Fred Stamps quickly, the young corner in his second start.
You know, last week Ray was slinging it, but he's going to need help from his running game in this game. It's a very different atmosphere, different environment when you're on the road. You want ball possession, and that time of possession so important, especially when you're traveling. That's where Calvin McCarty is going to come in and become more involved. He can block as good as it gets in the running game. They're going to need him to be part of the run-off offense as well and give him the football.
Eskimos had the ball for over 35 minutes last Sunday. They look at 2nd and 8. Here comes pressure. Ray stands in, and Barnes can't bring it down. Looked like it was going to be a good catch for Jason Barnes. Instead, a 2-and-out.
You know, pressure on this secondary, and a lot of it was actually focused on Dylan Barker. Here's Barnes on the outside. He's going to end up running that dig route, number 81, where he comes across the middle. Dylan Barker's playing in the middle and playing free. Reads it well. Watch his close. Up quickly to just rip the ball out of the hands of Jason Barnes. Dylan Barker is going to get better with every single play like that. Tremendous athlete from the U of S in his second year and his first year starting. He's continuing to improve, but they need to accelerate that process.
Now, Greg Marshall talked about more 2-and-outs. They couldn't get Edmonton off the field last week. Better kick by Prefontaine, and it's Thigpen from his 43. Trying to get outside, flag down, and Thigpen turned the corner and is finally dumped at the Edmonton 45 by Calvin McCarty, but again, a flag on the return. Would be his second consecutive 22-yard punt return of the night.
Took one up the middle. Took one to the outside.
Illegal block during the return. Hamilton number 3, 10-yard penalty. First down.
That's Mark Beswick, so that return goes for naught. Well, we made reference to another play from last week. An unforgettable hit on Dave Stalla.
Knocked him out of the game. Elliot Richardson from that free safety position stepped into Scala. Right underneath the chin. It wasn't a concussion. It was whiplash. Really didn't practice during the week. Checked it out. He got clearance from the medical staff. Said he had full range of motion to see the ball and the hits coming. So he's back in the lineup tonight.
Made the first catch of the game. And here's Maurice Mann in the flat and a catch near the 40-yard line. And that's 8 for the former Eskimo.
You know, and they really looked like a different offense without Dave Stala in it. I mean, a couple of weeks ago against Saskatchewan, he had 8 catches, 128. He, of course, limited action because of the hit last week, but he's on pace for a personal best year and leads this football team in those second down conversion catches. And that's maybe the most important stat because you got to move the chains. Dave Stala's been the guy that moves the chains.
And you're right. When he left the game last week, it just looked like that Hamilton offense got bogged down. Second and a couple. Glenn has a completion, has a first down, gets the ball into Edmonton territory thanks to Marquay McDaniel.
Well, last year, Marquay McDaniel had, limited playing time, was working his way into the offense, had just shy of 700 yards. He's already past that, well past that. In fact, he's on pace for 1,002, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats may have 3 possible receivers in that category.
They had 3 of the top 13 receivers coming in. McDaniel 13th, or 12th, Stala 13th, and Arlen Bruce, and they look for Bruce is wide open, and they can't make the connection. Arlen Bruce looked like he had a little room there working against Weldon Brown.
He did. That ball thrown to the outside shoulder, and it took both Weldon Brown and Bruce just a second to find the football. Watch Weldon Brown lose it. He turns outside and then loses where Arlen Bruce is. He's wide open along that rail, and that ball just thrown out of his reach.
So a missed opportunity there for the Ticats.
Already at 1,000, Arlen Bruce.
You wonder if Kevin Glenn was trying to play the wind there that is gusting across the field. In any event, he looks at 2nd and 10. 6 receiver set. And that ball almost intercepted on the deflection. In and out of the hands of Jason Goss, the former Ticat.
Well, there's the combination, the star and Arlen Bruce at the receiver spot and Kevin Glenn, the quarterback. And on that last play, you say Kevin Glenn will go to the sideline and say to Arlen Bruce, that was my bad. I missed you on that deep one. And then Arlen Bruce will come to the sideline this time and say, okay, now I got one. That one's on me because that ball was right on the money and went through his hands.
Eric Wilbur with the kick, looking for the sidelines, and gets a great bounce. Terrific kick. And it'll be marked out inside the 10. The Edmonton Eskimos were -2 in punt returns last week, and Wilbur with a 44-yarder there that has no return. And Ricky Ray and the Eskimos offense down by 7, backed up here late first quarter.
The field's been slanted against Ricky Ray in this first quarter. He's going uphill. Eric Wilbur had a big game punting last week. 44-yard average on the season, so he matches that average with this kick, and now Ricky Ray is in a hole.
Edmonton starts at their 9. And Ray going to stretch it out again. And that ball incomplete. Intended for Jamaica Rector.
Everybody wondering what is the difference with this Edmonton Eskimo team that has won 2 in a row. And as Dave Randorf mentioned off the top of the show, is looking at the possibility of 3 straight wins for the first time since 2005. That's a long time ago. Well, the reason for it, the improved play of their offensive line. Certainly their tackles in Jeremy Parquet and Greg White out on the outside. But that entire group as a unit has kept Ricky Ray clean in the last 2 weeks.
You mentioned all the heat on the Hamilton defense. This is where they have to come up big, looking at 2nd and 10 and a stop here deep. Ray's going to cut it downfield. Kamau or Jason Barnes, and There's Dylan Barker to make another play from the safety spot. Second time we've seen that against Barnes in this first quarter.
2 big plays by the young free safety in this game, because that was a now play. What I mean by that is you got to make the play now. Dylan Barker's right in the middle, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats have them bottle up a chance to look at a safety and getting the ball back if they make one play, and Dylan Barker makes it. You know how he makes it. He doesn't panic, doesn't put his hands up, doesn't draw the flag, just waits and hits him in the back.
Right spot, right time. And so the Eskimos have to punt.
Don't forget.
They'll be about 5 yards in their end zone, and I think Noel Prefontaine is into the wind as well. So,
well, I said have to punt. Wonder if that's exactly what they'll do. They have the CFL record now, and one they're probably not proud of. 12 safeties have been conceded already this year, most ever.
Returners for the Ticats are standing on their own 45. That's just where they're going to catch it. No, they're going to give it up, yeah.
And I know you're anti-safety, but in that case, when you know they're going to probably field the ball at the Edmonton 40 or 45, probably no choice.
Yeah, no question. And not necessarily anti-safety. That's part of the strategy of the game, and I get that in the field position battle, but I'm anti-safety when they're going and giving up safeties when they're standing on the 1 or 2 yard line to punt the football and running back into the end zone in dome stadiums. That's where I thought the rule needed to be changed. It was altered, and yet there are still some safeties. Now I'm going to give that and chalk it up to good defensive play this year.
And we also know that you're pro safety when it regards the position on defense.
And Dylan Barker's out to a good start there. Elliot Richardson for Edmonton, a good week last week. But 2 big plays for Dylan Barker.
So 2 young safeties, both in their second year. Barker, of course, former #1 pick in the CFL Canadian College Draft. A little under the weather this week, but a lot of heat on this team, and the flu bug's not gonna pass as an excuse this week for anybody on that Hamilton defense.
First interception this year was against the Rough Riders. Of course, I mentioned he's from the U of S. He's got 2 interceptions as a pro, both of them against the Saskatchewan Rough Riders, the team he grew up watching.
So the 13th safety conceded by the Eskimos makes it a 9-0 game, and Prefontaine to kick it off. Hangs that one up. Brought down at the 45-yard line, and Thigpen will be dropped at around the Hamilton 50. So the Ticats, who have led by scores of 15-0 2 weeks ago against Saskatchewan and 21-7 last week in Edmonton, have a 9-0 lead and hope to build on that here in the final minute of the first quarter.
One have been the Achilles heel for this offense has been the third quarter. They've the lowest scoring team in the third quarter. So they have built up leads before and then watched them disappear in that quarter.
Inside handoff, and Cobb is brought down. TJ Hill the tackle. Hill the leading tackler on the Eskimos, 4th in the league with tackle number 71 on the season.
You know, you look back to his last 2 weeks, that's 10 tackles total and an interception. You go back to the Moncton game and then last week as well. I said it last week, and it remains true. The most consistent defensive player is the former Montreal Alouette for Edmonton, TJ Hill.
Final play, opening quarter, barring a penalty. 2nd and 6 from the Cat 54. Glenn has time. He's got Owen Bruce over the middle, and Bruce brings down the first down catch. In traffic in front of Chris Thompson. Ticat football when we start quarter number 2. Our first quarter stats are brought to you by Tim Hortons, proud sponsor of the CFL.
You know, advantage Hamilton in that first quarter, not just in the numbers, but also in the field position. They have won that battle after quarter number 1. The game is clean as far as turnovers go for both quarterbacks.
So the Hamilton defense was challenged by Bob Obilovich, the general manager, by the head coach, by the defensive coordinator, Greg Marshall. They've responded after 15 minutes.
Totally, and a lot of that criticism pointed towards the secondary. I think Dylan Barker in his second year, but first year as a starter, has really elevated his game. He's made 2 big plays on second down now. Former U of S product making a statement that, yeah, the message was heard loud and clear from his defensive coordinator and head coach. They're playing better tonight.
3 Edmonton possessions, a pair of 2-and-outs, and now the Ticats have a first down at the Edmonton 43. 6 receivers out, pressure over the middle, incomplete. Looking for Marcus Thigpen as the Eskimos got some heat on Kevin Glenn.
Looked like Kevin Glenn was grabbing that passing hand as he backed away. He might have followed through and hit the top of a helmet. Got a little pressure on that last one right up the middle. And right after Kevin Glenn tried to dump this ball, you could see he got hit by TJ Hill, and he went right to his right hand, taking a look at it.
So it's 2nd and 10. More heat over the middle, and Rod Davis almost had his 3rd in as many games.
Well, he's become a ball hawk. And Rod Davis, I mentioned in the introductions, Rod Davis has had 2 interceptions the last 2 weeks. Both have gone for touchdowns. And this time he's going to show like he's going to blitz, but he's going to actually drop out of there. He's up in the line of scrimmage, drops out, fools Kevin Glenn. It just doesn't get enough on it to get it up over the top to Dave Stala.
So again, Wilbur's tasked to pin the Eskimos as he did on his last kick.
Rod Davis is going to start doing defensive back clinics.
That one bouncing inside the 20 and fumbled. And who got back on it? Looks like Tristan Jackson did get on it. 32-yard kick, and again the Eskimos will start inside their 15. Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by TELUS, proud sponsor of the Canadian Football League.
Stevie Baggs trying to get this crowd revved up.
And Ricky Ray, excuse me, Suits. Ricky Ray trying to dig Edmonton out of another hole. And he hands it off, and this is Daniel Porter, first carry of the game, and there is Stevie Baggs to help rev them up.
Well, they're going to try and double up on him and get not only the right tackle, Greg White, on him, but also the fullback in Matthew Bertrand. He's up at the wide side on that edge, and Bertrand is the tight end right in front of him. So try and double team him. He fights through that double team, makes a tackle to put Edmonton in a 2nd and long.
Illegal substitution. Edmonton at 13 men in the formation. Half the distance to the goal. It will be 2nd down.
So Richie Hall's team going backwards here as they mark it back at the 6-yard line.
And 2nd down.
They had 13 men in the huddle there after the Daniel Porter carry. So 2nd and 15. Ray pumps and then dumps it off. McCarty and Garrett McIntyre and Marquise Knowlton bring him down just beyond the 10. And there's the 3rd 2-and-out of the game by the Hamilton defense.
Garrett McIntyre showed tremendous hustle to run that down. Here's a guy that in his last 3 games has underachieved. He's had a sack in his last 3. In his first 9 games, he had 6 of them. So he knows he's one of those guys that needed to turn it up. Well, he ran down that play from behind.
One of the guilty parties last week with 4 offside for the Hamilton defense, and all of them were when the Eskimos were looking at 2nd and long. This time Prefontaine will boot it. And not a bad kick at all. Thigpen back on his side of half, and that's great cover downfield. Weldon Brown after a 46-yard Prefontaine punt. Tonight, Scotiabank Show Your Colors salutes the Marsh family from Burlington. Stephen Rose, Jared, and Jacqueline not in the shot, but Steve, a Hamilton native. They've been season ticket holders in Box J, which is where all the action is, for just over a decade. And Jared was the president of the Ticats for a day in a promotion a few years ago.
17 years old now, a lifeguard.
Ticats back to work, trying to add to the lead. Arlen Bruce, another catch, as he pads his stats down to the Edmonton 41-yard line.
You start to get the feeling that Arlen Bruce may be ready for another one of those breakout type games. And you go back to in the middle of the season, his back-to-back games versus Saskatchewan and Winnipeg, where he had more than a third of his yardage on the season in 2 games. And then has been right around the 50 to 80-yard mark since then. But at any time, number 1 could break out.
14 on that play. 43 so far in the game. Back to Cobb inside. And Cobb to the 38.
Arlen Bruce is on pace this year for over 1,500 yards. 15-16, as a matter of fact, who now becomes the CFL leader with 1,125 yards after that last catch. And that's his personal best if he can achieve that 1,500 plus.
Had a 1,370-yard year in his 9th season now, over 9,000 yards in his career, and a guy determined to make his mark in history as one of the top receivers of all time. He is now in the top 25 all time, and there's premature movement from the left tackle Alex Gauthier into his back pedal a little early.
Illegal procedure. Hamilton, number 66, 5-yard penalty, still second down.
Arlen Bruce hasn't found the end zone in a couple of games, but you know that's just a matter of time as well. And as I walked past him in warm-up here this evening, I said, is it going to be Bruce Almighty or just Bruce? And he said, well, don't say Bruce Almighty unless I earn it. And all right.
2nd and 13. Flag down. A held receiver might have been offside. Carter the catch would be enough for the first down in front of Weldon Brown, but let's wait.
I believe Dave Stala was across the line early, but did someone on that defense move first?
Boy, these receivers are so good at hitting the line full speed, it can be deceptive.
Offside. Hamilton, number 88, 5-yard penalty, still second down.
But in this case, he was astride too quick.
Yeah, and they'll give you sort of that neutral zone. He's the 3rd receiver on the inside. Stala, watch how far across that line of scrimmage he is. He's almost in behind the Edmonton linebacking core.
4-by-1. Hey, Jay, you're hot, Randy.
So 2nd and 18 now. 4 receivers to the wide side. Now Stala stays in. Arlen Bruce gets the call. Does he have the catch? No, they're going to rule incomplete. Side judge Dave Gatza making that call.
Well, let's take a look.
Down.
Let's take a look. He didn't argue too much about the call. And the call being, of course, no catch. As Thompson's going to jam him, go to his zone, and Arlen Bruce underneath. No, and clearly that went through his hands and bounced off the turf.
So the Eskimo defense with an important stop. Again, Eric Wilbur will try and pin Edmonton deep in their own zone where they've been for most of this first half.
And a costly penalty there for Dave Stala. That was first down.
Wilbur's kick, and this one, look at that. Oh, you got to call that shot, don't you? Unbelievable. That ball bounced at the pylon and goes out at the 1, and they're going to still talk about it.
I think it did.
It looked like it. And now they're going to rule 1 point.
Oh, they
you
are.
wonder if we're going to see this challenged. Almost perfect from Eric Wilbur. It is a 49-yard single and the right call from Jocelyn Paul, the back judge.
Yes, upon further review, that ball did bounce right on the white stripe, and we're talking 3 or 4 inches. But the correct call was made. That's a single point, and Edmonton gets it on the 35.
So it's a 10-0 Ticat lead. The Eskimos will start at their 35. The average starts from the 21. Ray looking downfield. Jason Barnes secures that and has a big first down at the Hamilton 50.
And took a big hit. He's a little slow to get up. Double seams there for Dylan Barker, the safety. He's going to play in the middle of both of them. One is this guy right here, and Jason Barnes. He's going to run down the seam. On the other side of the formation is Fred Stamps. So he's got 2 threats right down the hash marks. He comes a little bit late and then lowers his shoulder, but Jason Barnes hangs on.
26-yard play, and Barnes continues to get attention. Let's check in with Sarah Orleski.
Chris, we've talked about the Eskimos' back-to-back wins and also the improved play of their O-line, and there's a direct correlation between the two, according to Ricky Ray. He believes that's the biggest difference in these last couple of games. Through the first 11 games, they allowed 31 sacks. Ray has only been sacked once in the last 2 games. He said that early on in this season, he was having trouble sometimes even getting to his first read. In these last couple games, there have been times when he's been able to get to his third.
New offensive line coach Tim Prinzen. The former Ticat was part of the Ticats' last Grey Cup winning team.
And since he's arrived and helped this offensive line, the team is 3-3. In the last 2 games have allowed just 1 sack. And maybe more important than just the sacks is the fact that Ray has been clean, not harassed, not forcing throws when he doesn't want to make the throws. He's been able to step up, deliver that pass over the middle that he needs in those second down situations. And what a difference that makes. You give Ricky Ray time, he's as good as it gets in the league.
Jason Barnes to the sidelines under his own power. And Tyler Scott checks in at receiver. Eskimo first down at the Ticat 49, and they pitch it to Fred Stamps. And Stamps accelerates over the 45. And Ricky Ray talks about the luxury of playing with a better offensive line.
They've been through a lot this year. I mean, early in the season, facing a lot of criticism. You know, midway through the season, a coaching change, some personnel changes. And I think we're finally starting to see some of those changes come into effect now. You know, I think Coach Princeton's doing a good job, you know, working with their technique and their assignments, and it's starting to show a little bit more now out on the football field.
Ray with a season best last week, his first 300-yard game at 8. And over the middle, he has another first down. Tyler Scott is popped by Shannon James, and Scott lets him know that it didn't bother him.
Well, first of all, Ricky Ray again has time to get it out of there. And again, that's the O-line. They're a little bit of a stunt from Hamilton. They still allow Ray to get that time to throw.
And it was Andrew Nowacki. Better give credit to Nowacki for a terrific catch and able to absorb the hit. Hamilton product, Andrew Nowacki. So the Eskimos, their most promising march of the game. Fake to McCarty. Ray ran out of time downfield, and it falls short of the intended target. A couple of Eskimos in the area, including Fred Stamps.
Justin Hickman is going to run down Ricky Ray. 3 sacks in the last 3 games for Hickman, and this time he's got a play run first, and then he's going to slide here and then watch his acceleration to close quickly on Ray. If he has chance outside of the pocket like that to set up, now you're in big trouble from a secondary point of view. But Justin Hickman closed that ground in a hurry, and Ray just had no chance to complete it there. That's the first hit push he's taken in some time now.
You mentioned Hickman being so good in September last year. 6 of his 7 sacks after Labor Day. 2nd and 10. Ray has a man and looks like another first down. Jamaica Rector is pushed out at the Hamilton bench at the 21, but that's enough to move the chains.
Jamaica Rector is starting out at that wide receiver. They moved him around a little bit throughout the season. This is his 5th start. for the Edmonton Eskimos, but he hasn't been out at wideout. He does have enough speed to push a DB off, and that time it was Bo Smith. Just created a cushion and turned out to that sideline.
Once again, the Eskimos operating without Kelly Campbell. Kamal Peterson returning for just his 3rd game of the year. Edmonton threatening just inside the 20. And here's Daniel Porter, a little stutter step, but nothing available. And he's brought down after maybe a gain of 1. Jamal Johnson there. Saw Porter with one big run last week in his first CFL start, an 11-yarder down near the goal line to set up a touchdown. 6 carries, 25 yards in his CFL debut.
Big play here. The Edmonton Eskimos to try and get back in this football game in one throw.
Second and 9. Here comes the blitz. Ricky Ray into the end zone, stamps, and it's intercepted. Jeff Tisdale won the battle and has his 4th interception of the year.
Boy, and that's what it was. It was a battle all the way down the field. Jeff Tisdale picks up Fred Stamps, and you know one thing in this area of the field, if you're playing in that Hamilton secondary, Ricky Ray is looking for number 2, I can guarantee you, and that's exactly where he went. Now watch the great coverage by Tisdale. Little jam there, stays in his hip pocket on the inside. They're fighting for it. He rips it out of the hands of Fred Stamps, stays in bounds.
Yeah, I think that's a terrific play. I think it's an interception, but if I'm Richie Hall, I'd challenge that anyway.
Let's take a look and see if Fred Stamps may have had
just
control.
in case, but that's academic now. And DeAndre Cobb with a 2-yard gain as we have a flag at the end of that play.
Yeah, you know, you're right. It's almost worth another quick look and maybe the possibility of a challenge. You have one in the first half anyway, and to just see if...
Major foul, face mask, Edmonton number 93. A 15-yard penalty will be enforced from the end of the play. First down.
Kai Ellis called for the face mask. That's twice the Eskimos have been called in this first half for that.
That touchdown, I think even if Richie Hall does challenge, I think they got the call right.
I agree. I think it's a good interception, a good play. It's just thought it might be worth the gamble to see if the interpretation might have gone the other way. First down at Kevin Glenn's. That's David Stallup. And he's tripped up by Weldon Brown up at the 48.
Well, we were taking another look at that touchdown. Dario Romero actually was the guy who's going to get the face mask penalty, number 94. It's right there. You see the big left hand right across the face mask of DeAndre Cobb. He drops it down, but too little, too late. And that's why Hamilton has that much better field position.
Second and 3, 3.5, and short drop, quick hitter, and Rod Davis almost had another. Boy, he has a appetite for the football right now, and Rod Davis stops that Ticat drive.
You know, it's just about being in the right place and the drops that he's taken. This was the identical drop by Rod Davis that he had the interception. He shows blitz, and then he knows where the throwing lane is and jumps it. The timing just off a little bit for Kevin Glenn. He throws out another step early. Maurice Mann has it in the hole.
So Wilbur to kick. Good move. Backpedaling Jackson to his 11. Tristan Jackson got some room. And Eric Wilbur there to slow him up, and then the flags start to fly. Deanna Carter in the area as well. Tristan Jackson struggled last week. That one looked promising. 26 on the return, but looks like it's being called back. 51-yard Wilbur punt.
Holding. Edmonton, number 25, 10-yard penalty. First down.
That's Will Harris, the reserve linebacker.
Rod Davis started it in Moncton. The neutral site game. The Edmonton Eskimos and the Toronto Argonauts. Gets an escort from Chris Thompson to the end zone. And then did it the next week on that same drop in Edmonton against Kevin Glenn. That really turned the game, that interception.
10th interception thrown by Ricky Ray. Andrew Nowacki, another catch over the middle. And a first down up near the 30-yard line for the Eskimos. 13 for Nowacki. Ricky Ray has 5 consecutive 300-yard games against the Hamilton Tiger Cats, but off to a slow start tonight. Field position an issue early.
And hadn't had one in some time until last week.
Fake to Porter. There's Kamau Peterson back in the offense, and he gets cranked.
Wow.
At around the 35-yard line. Got hit hard there by Jerome Dennis.
Welcome back to the league, Kamau Peterson. I mean, Jerome Dennis steps into him. It's a little bang route, basically. You can hide in behind Nowacki and sit there. And he's tied up and gets another hit. He had the Achilles, partially torn Achilles tendon on the 9-game injured. Was pretty much ready to go last week. But back and playing in the lineup here tonight.
It's a guy who had 101 catches 2 years ago, and a huge missing piece of the puzzle for Edmonton. Second and short, some early movement there. Stevie Baggs jumped. Did he get drawn?
Stevie Baggs, another guy that was fighting the flu bug all week.
Offside. Hamilton, number 55, 5-yard penalty. First down.
So 4 offsides for the defense last week, and Baggs charged with one here that gives Edmonton a first down. And they're going to give the 3-minute warning here at Ivor Wynn. The Ticats pitching a shutout so far. Exactly 3 minutes remaining in the first half, and then it's GMC Sierra live at the half, and we'll check in with the guys in studio, and I'm sure they'll be talking about a vastly improved Hamilton Ticat defense in this first half.
The receiver, the quarterback, and the old lineman are going to talk some defense. I love it.
First and 10. Ricky Ray gets hit, gets it away, and has Fred Stamps for another catch, but see how Ricky Ray responds to that jolt.
Well, he knew he had to take it because it was a free man, and Fred Stamps recognizes it too. You can see where he's looking in at the pressure. He knows he's got to turn this one around quickly because his quarterback's got to take a hit to deliver the throw. And it's Jamal Johnson who's going to make the hit. Number 28 in the right hand of your screen. He delays blitzes, come through the B gap, which is between the tackle and the guard, and drills the quarterback.
It's the hardest Ray's been hit in 3 weeks, but it's a first down, and that pass in the flat, incomplete for Jamaica Rector.
You know, the defense for the Hamilton Tiger Cats certainly are playing better here tonight than they have the last few weeks. Greg Marshall ripped the football team after the game. I mean, he went into his defensive guys, and Greg Marshall's a pretty laid-back coach. I mean, laid back. He's a detail-oriented. When I say laid back, he's professional. He doesn't usually raise his voice. Well, he was on him.
Second and 10 here. A lot of steamboats underneath, and nothing there for Calvin McCarty. Jamal Johnson shuts the door. And that'll halt the drive.
Good coverage downfield, and again, Greg Marshall got what he wanted. He rips his team at the end of last week's game, and he gets better play out of his secondary across the board. Ricky Ray just did not have an open target, and he finally had to check it down, and that's what in second and long you want defensively.
Asked him if he fined players because of the offsides last week, and he said that's the head coach. He said, my commentary is a little worse than the fines. He let him know.
Yeah, oh yeah. The paint was peeling.
The defensive adjustments this week simply play better. Or else. And they have. Prefontaine. It's a bounce past. Big play, and look at this roll. Down inside the 5-yard line. They'll get the 5-yard, no yards, but a terrific kick by Prefontaine of 51 yards into the corner with 1:50 to go here in this first half.
No yards. Edmonton, number 38. That penalty's declined. The gain is greater. First down.
Well, the CFL on TSN continues tomorrow. Argonauts and Rough Riders face off in their rematch of last week's battle. Live coverage begins here on TSN 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific, and Darian Durant will be a quarterback.
Bit of an ankle, but practiced on Thursday. Apparently Cleo Lemon ready to go again.
So now it's the Ticats backed up. Bob trying to find something, and up around the 8-yard line, 2 or 3 for DeAndre Cobb.
Yeah, this is a tricky one for Hamilton because you want to avoid a turnover with 1:44 left in the first half, and yet you don't get a first down here. You're punting from deep in your own end zone, and the Edmonton Eskimos are looking at time on the clock and a chance to at least put a field goal on the board. So important play in this game for Kevin Glenn here on second down.
And the Eskimos will be without Maurice Lloyd for the play. He is down and getting attention. It's been a first half of field position dominated by the Ticats, and the Eskimos a chance to flip the field here.
Just to the right of your screen, Maurice Lloyd he's right on the ground here. It looks like he just got stomped on as the pile went by, and also Rod Davis might have given him the back heel to the jaw.
That might have been the knockout blow. Now 6th in the league in tackles. On the year was 64. And Javi Glatt likely to come in.
It does give Kevin Glenn some time to make sure everyone is sure they know their assignments on a very important play here, because they don't get the first down here. Hamilton's looking at either giving up 2 and kicking it off, or punting the football from their end zone, and then giving Edmonton good field position with enough time for Ricky Ray to look at a major. So you hear it many times. The games come down to 6, 7, 8 plays, and you're not sure exactly when they'll be, but that's why as a player you're prepared to play as well as you can in every play. But this could be one of those.
See Glatt in ready to replace the injured Mo Lloyd. Will Harris in on this defensive play, a guy who's now been in the system for a couple of months and was just a special teams player out of USC, but now being moved into the defense in situations like 2nd and long, and Mo Lloyd gets assistance to the sidelines.
They're looking at his rib. Upper body injury for Maurice Lloyd. Yeah, and Will Harris will play that nickel spot. If it is ribs, you have to be very careful. There's a slight crack in that rib. You're going to make sure you know it before you let a player back on the field. It can be very dangerous.
So Glatt in for Maurice Lloyd. Clock running down to 90 seconds remaining. Here in the first half, it's 2nd and 9. Glenn steps up over the middle, and this is a big conversion for the football. And the Eskimos got it. It's T.J. Hill with the football. inside the 25 and breaks the tackle. Down to the 15, and Marquay McDaniel downs him there. Well, turnovers have dogged the Ticats in recent weeks, 5 in the last 2 weeks, and a big one here for Edmonton with 71 seconds left in the half.
Yeah, and I think it's the surest hands that the Hamilton Tiger Cats have in Dave Stala that is going to cough up this football. He runs a slant. Now, Kevin Glenn has to get flush and steps up. There's 88 across the middle. A forced fumble, I believe. Chris Thompson from behind punches it out. He cuts across the middle. Watch the right hand. He punches the ball from behind. Dave Stala doesn't know it's coming.
Very similar to Greg Peach last week. It was 5 turnovers for the Hamilton Ticats in their last game here against Saskatchewan. 2 turnovers last week.
Timeout.
Edmonton.
And the Eskimos call timeout. And after being territorially dominated in this first half, Richie Hall's team can salvage the half here with a major.
Yeah, I mentioned the importance of that play for Hamilton, and it looked for a minute, though, that they were going to get it out of their end zone with that throw to Stala, and a nice play by Kevin Glenn, but that's the play wasn't over. Chris Thompson punches it out.
Might have had a headset issue there as Ricky Ray goes to the sidelines. Talking with Jason Tucker, and you just got to wonder if Tucker says, you know, why don't you throw that corner route? That usually works. So Stala anxiously watches on as the Eskimos offense tries to capitalize on that Ticat mistake. Inside handoff, Daniel Porter, and Porter's still going. First down run to about the 2-yard line, a similar run to the one that set up a touchdown last week.
Hit a couple of times as he hit that line of scrimmage, but kept the feet churning. And it's going to take, clearly it's going to take more than just a arm tackle to bring down 32. He was hidden in behind his fullback in Matthew Bertrand, but nice spin move to the inside. Avoids contact and then takes a couple of hits and stays on his feet.
5'9", 197. First and goal from the 2. Porter again. And this time they got wrapped and drill him back. Justin Hickman finishing him off. DeMonte Bolden was there. Jeff Tisdale. And the Eskimos have some work to do.
Otis Floyd, the middle linebacker, is going right up in the line of scrimmage. He knows that you cannot, as a middle linebacker down here, hesitate. You got to get up in there, take away that inside gap. Watch how he steps into Aaron Fiacone, makes first contact, and then his teammates rally.
The 11-year veteran who started in Edmonton, Otis Floyd, second. Matt Bertrand flagged down as Bertrand into the end zone, but let's find out what this flag's all about.
Patrick Kabongo thinks it's against Hamilton because he just spiked the football.
Outside. Hamilton, number 9. That penalty is declined. These all the plays of a touchdown.
Nobody's going to argue with Patrick Kabongo. It's an Eskimo touchdown. Matthew Bertrand into the end zone for the first time this year.
And there is Tisdale, who is offside at the far side of the field. You can tell him well inside of that neutral zone.
Big push by that offensive line. And so the Stala fumble was a costly one. Fontaine the extra point, and
wow,
that's a 3-point game with 22 seconds left in the half.
Yeah, that's a momentum changer. That's just again, that's one of those big plays in the football game. The Hamilton Tiger Cats looked like they were getting the first down and could go out with a 10-0 lead, a fumble, and that quickly Matthew Bertrand is in the end zone, and we've got a football game, 3-point difference.
For the first time this year, the Eskimos won the takeaway battle in a game, 2 games in a row, and they lead in that department tonight after that fumble.
Look at the big man. I want to see if Chris Schultz wants to talk about the big man on the spike there. That's big Patrick Kabongo. 6'6", 315 out of Nebraska, and they're going to have to find another football.
That one deflated, didn't even bounce.
Yeah. I love how comfortable these guys are when they get the ball in their hands. They know what to do with it. There he is. He's got it in that right hand. He's got the big wind up and down. It looked like he was losing it, and then slams it down. Like, there you go.
Well, he helped clear the path for Bertrand to hit pay dirt.
Yes, sir.
The guy who's been under the gun and had to respond himself after a benching in Moncton, replaced by Kelly Bates in the second half.
The guy who blocks the sun.
Get that face time, PJ. Get that face time.
Defensive player for the Cornhuskers. Actually was second in tackles back in 2002. They switched him over to offense in the CFL, and he's played guard ever since.
There's McDaniel. Look at this return and then tripped up across the 40. By the way, Aaron Fiacconi was telling him to enjoy that FaceTime. The O-line guys don't get enough of it, do they?
No, they don't. And, you know, when you're talking O-line, when it comes to newspaper articles, they actually have their own fine systems for that. If you're quoted in an article as an offensive lineman, generally speaking, you're going to catch some flack from your O-line buddies. Marquay McDaniel has been banged up a couple of times in this game. One off the opening play, and there just before we go away to halftime here.
Boy, he's a smooth looking return man. Looked like he had something really developing there and got tripped up across the 40-yard line. Well, 15 seconds. You got a couple of plays here and decent field position off that return. So how aggressive are you?
I'm not getting too nutty in this case. No, I'm not getting too nutty.
Well, they throw the out. Maurice Mann's got it and wisely steps out across midfield. 9 seconds left. So they've got time for a play, and they need about 10 to 15 more, don't they?
Yeah, that's not too nutty. Now you can go over the middle, and now it's a realistic play. It's a mid-range throw, 10 to 15 yards to possibly look at a long field goal attempt. But if on that last play you went too deep with it, got it turned over, who knows what happens on a run back or a hit on your quarterback and a fumble. There's a lot of bad that can happen. But now you got a chance.
Wind has subsided. Ticats have a timeout, and Glenn looking deep. He wants man down the sidelines. He's got it. Jason Goss brings him down, but with 2 seconds left, they are in chip shot range as Glenn goes 42 yards to Maurice Mann.
Yeah, and Maurice Mann played this very well because he doesn't get too aggressive with his hands on Jason Goss. Ball's in the air now. A little bit of a push, but not too aggressive. Not enough to draw the attention of the official and get the flag. He fights around Jason Goss and gets to that football. Now they got a chance for the field goal. And a safe play down that sideline where only he catches it.
Challenge flags out for the Hamilton bench. I think they want to know if Maurice Mann was down. And I wondered the same thing. Did he actually run into the end zone after the play?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Didn't they blow the whistle and stop the play? Okay, first of all, let's see if he's down by contact. I would say it looked like the right arm of Jason Goss might have hit his leg, but hard to tell there. And he's not down now, but where did they blow the whistle?
And he does get to the end zone, so this is interesting. This is a good challenge for Marcel Belfay.
That's that West right there. That's that West right.
And it looks like Andre Prue is telling him that he can't challenge this. They've called the play dead. Now, did Goss's arm sweep across the ankle or not? Goss is saying he's down.
Well, he's not down there.
He's actually saying he got pushed.
Hamilton is challenging the ruling on the field of downward contact. The play will be reviewed.
So they will review it.
Well, it's just a matter of whether or not Jason Goss hit hit Maurice Mann's leg with his hand as he was turning.
Yeah, did he?
Because he's not down by contact.
Did he roll
Richardson?
Right. Did he roll on him right at the end of this play? And this is going to be a good angle for Jake Ireland.
Okay.
Now, is there contact there on the foot or leg? Goss gets up complaining that he was interfered with, and Mann.
I wonder about that whistle too. You see the official on the sideline waving his arms as if to mark the spot there.
Well, in short order, they had 15 seconds. They've moved it into field goal range, or have they scored a touchdown? Andre Proulx knows the answer to that question.
Upon review, the ruling on the field stands. It's a completed pass. It will be first down, Hamilton.
Well, I guess they've ruled that there wasn't enough evidence there to overturn the call into whether or not Jason Goss did hit him with his elbow or his arm as he was rolling.
Ruled down by contact, and so DeAngelis will size up a 20-yard field goal attempt. And Sandro drills that through on the final play of the first half, and the Ticats lead 13-7 at halftime at Ivor Wynne.
Live at the Half is brought to you by the next generation GMC Sierra Heavy Duty. Never send a truck to do a Sierra's job.
Lots going on in the final moments of that first half. You know what my favorite part of that challenge was of the man play? They were playing Mana Mana in the stadium. A classic.
Schultz has been singing it ever since.
He is. Never gets old.
A classic in whose books?
Mine and Schultz's. That's all that matters at this point. Okay, so bottom line is, hello, Dave, Jock, and Matt, and Chris, and a key turnover by Dave Stala there at the end of the first half to allow Edmonton to kind of get into it. Hamilton has now allowed 109 points off of turnovers. That's right down the bottom of the league along with Toronto and Edmonton. But Schultz, the Eskimos basically handed those points there. They were on their way to getting shut out after 24 points, a season-high 24 points a week ago in the first half. What's changed?
A couple of things, I think. Number one, Greg Marshall kind of confronting his own personal responsibility. That defensive football team has made a major difference in this game. I mean, from 37 points to almost a shutout in the first half, great improvement by the secondary. And I thought they did two things really well. In the first quarter, they came up and they tackled exceptionally well. You watch right here, Bo Smith will come up, make a nice secure tackle, no more positive yards. And then the young kid that they're really high on, Ryan Hines, comes up and makes another nice, solid tackle on that play. But I thought this was the play of the game here. Jeff Tisdale, he loses the football, the side of the football, but he doesn't give up on the play, fights for it, ends up getting the interception. So, you know, after an 8-play drive, you don't have any gratification for something you did on offense as an Edmonton Eskimo. So that was an important play in the game. I really think so.
Yeah, Schultz, you know, last week Ricky Ray was standing around all kinds of time, you know, nobody in his face. Well, Greg Marshall, like you said, got all over his defense. And how do you change that mentality? Well, you be more aggressive and you bring pressure, and that's exactly what the Hamilton Tiger-Cats did. They brought a lot of pressure. First, it's Markeith Knowlton off this edge. Now, they don't get to Ray, but they're pressuring him. And then it's Otis Floyd up the middle. And then it's the free safety, Dylan Barker, coming, and Schultz, there it is in the back end. Tisdale gets the interception. You make Ricky Ray uncomfortable. You don't let him lollygag around there, have all day, have the sight lines and the vision I showed you off the top of the show. You get in his face, you pressure the issue, be more aggressive defensively.
And defensively, they did a pretty good job covering his receivers. But, you know, at the top of the show, I talked about how Ricky Ray is being allowed to do some of the things that Ricky Ray is comfortable doing. And I just wanted to show you a few examples of that and also show you how his receivers are giving him a hand doing it. You know, Fred Stamps is obviously the big-name guy, but he's not the only guy who can play the position. I've really been impressed with Jason Barnes. And here's an example of the seam pattern. I talked at the top of the show about double verticals and how that's one of Ricky Ray's favorite plays. Watch here as Jason Barnes has got to worry about the halfback first of all, because he needs good separation. He cannot allow himself to get jammed. He doesn't get jammed. Now he's into the second level. Excellent. Now, here's the challenge for him. He's got to find the soft spot between three defenders, and he does a beautiful job of bending it in nice and easily, right in between the numbers and the hash mark. On the seam pattern, all receivers have landmarks they need to get to. He gets to his, and that's why he completes it. Jamaica Rector on the comeback. I love watching receivers run this pattern who know what they're doing. It's up the field and it's back. How many yards does it take Jamaica to break down and come out of his break? He starts at the 20. Let's watch. Here he starts his breakdown. He is out of his cut at 3 yards. That's pretty good for a speed guy. That's convincing the cornerback that you're going deep until the last second, and it's all timing. Ricky Ray is great at throwing those. I want to see them run that more often than they have so far, because that's something he's very good at, and Rector was great at coming out of his breaks.
You see the stat the guys ran during the first half there about how Fred Stamps leads the league in yards receiving per game, over 100 yards per game, because he's been missed a few with injury. Where was that stat when you were in the league back in the day? You could have used that.
Well, the year I blew my shoulder, the year I blew my hamstring, I could have used that.
That's a beautiful stat.
Yeah, should be in the record books.
This was a good catch to allow the Ticats to get the late field goal to add to their point total. It is 13-7 at the half.
Gibson's Finest CFL Players of the Week is brought to you by Gibson's Finest Canadian Whiskey. Your whiskey, your way.
Welcome back. Here are the Gibson's Finest Players of the Week in the CFL. From Week 14, Henry Burris, 412 yards passing, 4 touchdowns in their big win last week. Rod Davis, the boys have been talking about him tonight, another interception last week. And, you know, is it me or is Chad Owens and Andy Fantuz on this list every single week?
Every week.
These guys are owning those two categories, and they do it again this week. Now, we want to tell you that the Pepsi Refresh Project is giving away over $1 million to fund great ideas and CFL players they want in. Help your favorite player win a $50,000 grant. Vote today for their cause at cfl.ca/Pepsi Refresh. Meantime, moving right along, here are your halftime numbers brought to you by Tim Hortons, proud sponsor of the CFL. Schulte?
Well, here are the concerns for Edmonton. Only 8 first downs, that's a low number. You only have 23 yards rushing, that's a low number. And consequently, your time of possession is a low number. If they can boost those numbers, they can get back into this game.
13-7 is the score. Of course, the NHL season kicked off last night. Kate Burness is here with a Sports Center update and a scary scene in the National Hockey League tonight, right?
A very scary situation. We're all kind of looking at the play and thinking, did a puck hit him? Did a player hit him? But Andre Pavlik went down in the Thrashers-Washington game at Phillips Arena tonight. A very scary scene, a lot of silence. Long time before play resumed. Just over 2 minutes in, there he is. You can see him, Thrashers goaltender Andre Pavlik collapsed onto the ice. No one was around him. He did lose consciousness, was attended to by medical staff for several minutes before being taken off on a stretcher. We will update you on SportsCenter. Sens and Sabres first period action. Tyler Ennis to Derek Roy. Moves in, goes around Chris Phillips and puts the backhand past Pascal Leclerc to give Buffalo a 1-0 lead. That is currently where they are. Baseball playoffs, Reds and Phillies, game 2, 4th inning, already 2-0 Cincinnati. Jay Bruce sends a shot over to right, solo shot, gives the Reds a 3-0 lead, but the Phillies pulling back in this one. It is 6-4 now. The next edition of SportsCenter comes your way after the game. We'll have all the hockey highlights, plus postseason baseball highlights, and a full wrap-up of this game and so much more. Dave.
Okay, thanks very much. So 13-7 is the score. We got a few more moments here to discuss, and a couple stats are jumping out at me. Calvin McCarty, who you love, Schulte, nothing along the ground for him. And DeAndre Cobb, pretty quiet, 7 carries for 20 yards after 3 huge weeks for him. What do both teams need to do offensively to pick it up? Matty, you start.
Well, yeah, you know, that's what jumped off at me. You know, they talked about the running game of Edmonton. That's why they had some success. I thought it was the protection, but it's a combination of both. You know, you control the line of scrimmage, you know, 36-plus minutes and average time of possession last week for the Edmonton Eskimos. And it's completely turned around. Schulte pointed that out. You know, they've got to control that line of scrimmage, and they got to start getting Hamilton out of their comfort zone and bringing pressure. They got to give him something more to think about offensively, and that's a balanced attack.
We saw something that we saw a lot last year, and that is the toss play to DeAndre Cobb. And we saw it down on the goal line, and yeah, there was a guy that was completely unblocked, and DeAndre Cobb still scored. That's what happens when you get a ball with depth and you can see everything develop in front of you. We saw the toss play with Cobb all the time last year. We saw it last week with DeAndre. It's one of the first times I've seen Hamilton run it all year. I'd like to see that play a little bit more, and I want to see him get the ball in space. Screen passes, underneath. They haven't thrown the ball enough to him or McCarty for my liking.
Well, and that's my complaint with the Edmonton Eskimos. I mean, Calvin McCarty is a talented young running back who has a Canadian citizenship title. You have an opportunity here to really develop a kid that you can use as a starter. Now, I know Archie Whitlock is the man when it comes to being the running back for this football team, but I really think Calvin was closing that distance in the previous 2 games, the Hamilton game in Commonwealth and the game in Toronto in Moncton. give the kid a chance to show what he's got consistently over the rest of the season. I think they're going to be very pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, a great opportunity for many backs with Whitlock out of the lineup as he has been for several weeks. Porter.
And he's looking promising. He needs the ball. He needs more carries.
Yeah, that's right.
4 carries.
Jock?
Yes, David?
Mana. They're playing it again at the stadium.
David?
Love it. It's classic. Look at it. They're all saying. They're all saying.
You have the worst musical taste of anyone I know.
Nope.
Yep.
Game time, baby. TSN. Reebok is in the game.
Friday night football in your face. Let's go.
CFL and TSN, the only place to be.
6-point lead for Pigskin Pete's team as we head to the second half. But first, onto the sidelines, and here again, Sarah Orleski.
Chris, it was a rough second quarter for the Eskimos in terms of injuries. Both Jason Barnes and Maurice Lloyd left the game and have been taken to hospital for observation. Barnes was experiencing some tenderness in his spleen, and there is some suspect that perhaps it is a bruised spleen. Maurice Lloyd, it is his ribs. Both have been taken to a local hospital in order to be checked out.
Boy, a couple of key injuries indeed for Richie Hall's team.
Well, that means defensively you'll see more of Javi Glatt in that linebacking core. Offensively, maybe Jock Climby talking about dumping the football to the backs, and Calvin McCarty will be something that this offense will have to look to with Jason Barnes out of the lineup.
And Kamau Peterson may have to play a bigger role in a hurry for the Eskimos in his return. There's Tristan Jackson back. And here we go, second half. And that ball mopped, and it's loose, and Stevie Baggs is on it for the Ticats. Well, the opening kickoff of the second half misplayed by one of the upmen. And Stevie Baggs there to make the play.
You know, he's been quiet. It was quiet last week, but he is making plays. He had a fumble return for a touchdown. His one play, big play last week against Edmonton. Bertrand juggled it. He's a guy running under it, and it looks like he just lost focus, lost the football in the lights, and Stevie Baggs right there to recover.
Costly mistake to start the second half for Edmonton. Baggs, who had a touchdown on a fumble recovery last week at Commonwealth, sets it up for Kevin Glenn, first down at the Eskimo 30-yard line. Double tight ends. Cobb stays in the block. Bruce open, and could only get one fingertip on it. Couldn't bring it back, and left himself exposed.
Yeah, and Kevin Glenn wants that throwback. Okay, there's a couple. He had one in the front in the first half, and then one right there. That ball a little higher. Orland Bruce probably scores on it. There's his first half numbers. No touchdowns, no interceptions. Dave Stala play was a fumble. He had caught the ball over the middle. Forced fumble by Chris Thompson, but that ball I know Kevin Glenn wants back. He hit himself on the helmet right after he let it go.
Closing in on a 4,000-yard season. And Glenn has a strike here for a first down. Dave Stala inside, dives down to the 18-yard line to move the sticks.
Want to get the football, I'm sure, if you're Hamilton, back to Dave Stala as quickly as possible. He was rocked last week by Elliot Richardson. Trying to bounce back from that injury and whiplash. Had a fumble in the first, just to end the first half. That turned into an Edmonton touchdown. He got the ball back, and that'll give him confidence quickly.
12 for Stala, and now Glenn is 3 yards away from a 4,000-yard season, which would be his second in his 10-year career. And the out is thrown. That's complete. Not much there. Steve Schmidt is wrestled down by T.J. Hill.
And it will be a little more Javi Glatt in the linebacking core for Maurice Lloyd.
And it's a gain of a yard or two. Or is it maybe 1 yard? So Glenn's 2 yards away, and they need 9 for a first down, which is a primary concern for the Hamilton quarterback. 4 receivers to this near side. That's where Glenn's looking. Got a wide open man, and into the end zone. Touchdown, Dave Stella.
Confidence is back.
So the Eskimos got a touchdown on a Stella fumble. And now Stella's got a touchdown after an Edmonton fumble.
Sudden change, those points off turnovers, so important because, first of all, obviously, you're adding to your point total. But more importantly, you're grabbing momentum in a hurry. You're taking a team that is down after a turnover, and you're putting your foot right on top of their chin and grinding a little bit. That's what happens when you score right off of those touchdowns, right off those turnovers.
4th touchdown of the year for the Cathedral High School product. And DeAngelis adds the extra point. And 2.5 minutes into this third quarter, the lead is now 13. The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by Husqvarna, teaming the wild with Husqvarna leaf blowers and chainsaws. So a touchdown and a fumble for Matt Bertram, a touchdown and a fumble for Dave Stella. And right now, Dave Stella's feeling a whole lot better than Matt Bertram.
No question. Good athletes, good players bounce back from adversity. That's what Dave Stella just did. Great route running on TJ Hill in man-to-man down in the goal line.
Out of the hold, another short kick, and Bertram's got this one too. And he plows ahead with a little extra determination to the 49-yard line.
To make up for it, man. I had to make up for it.
Find out how you can create your own plays at NissanArmchairHero.com.
There he is, and there's TJ Hill, and this is going to be the one-on-one matchup down on the goal line. Watch the route running by Dave Stella as he turns the hips of TJ Hill right there. TJ Hill has now turned his hips inside. Dave Stella breaks on the out. He's got him right where he wants him with his hips turned to the middle. Too late to turn out of that and come back, and Dave Stella has a nice catch because of the route run.
Again, as Sarah reported, no Jason Barnes on offense, and Ray gets crushed. And a ruling incomplete, but Ricky Ray got blindsided. Something we haven't said for a few weeks.
Looked like Markeith Knowlton came around the corner on a delayed blitz from the linebacking core. He's working with Stevie Baggs. Now, Stevie Baggs is going to draw attention whenever he lines up there. There's Baggs there, and what you're going to see is Knowlton come outside of Stevie Baggs. The two together is tough to take, especially when you get your running back Calvin McCarty stepping up into the middle, looking to release and become a receiver. Knowlton is free.
Just got the ball away, so it's an incompletion, and 2nd and 10. 4-man rush, Ray time. And he's got Rector, and Jamaica Rector working against Bo Smith. The corner has a first down to the Ticat 50.
This time the Edmonton Eskimos are going to keep Calvin McCarty and not. Remember last play he just released down the field? Well, this play he's going to just sit in here and take a look. Now he doesn't have to actually block anybody, but now they're going to keep him in a little safer. Make sure he picks up those linebackers a little late. He's one of the best backs in the league blocking in the passing game.
3rd catch for Rector. Stevie Baggs to the sidelines, and Matt Kirk checks in on the Ticat defensive line. McCarty, and nothing there as Garrett McIntyre swamps him. And again, they haven't been able to get him going offensively. The good blocking back.
No question, and this is what he can do in the passing game. Little play action there. He fills that A gap against the Hamilton Tiger Cats last week. He takes a big Justin Hickman off the edge there. And again, Calvin McCarty, these are the things that most times you don't really notice, but are so important. Ricky Ray being able to throw the ball from the pocket is to have a back in there that can pick up those blitzes.
Couple of catches, just his first rush of the game, and it's 2nd and 10. And there's McCarty out of the backfield, and got his footwork down to get a first down before Jamal Johnson drills him.
The panel talked about him. Got to get him more involved. Chris Schultz talked about him at halftime. Get Calvin McCarty more involved. Let's see him. He's a good blocker. He can run the football for you. And check out his hands out of the backfield. And I love how he puts the brakes on there to get an extra 2 yards, not run out of bounds, because he needed those two to move the chains.
And so the Eskimos are moving the football down to the Ticat 37. 118 yards from scrimmage 2 weeks ago. Last week, 98 against the Ticats for McCarty. They faked the handoff and had the long out for Bertrand, and he can't bring it in. That would have been a Tony Champion-like catch for Matt Bertrand, bringing back a memory or two from the '89 Cup.
Yeah, well, that was the only bad memory, or one of the bad memories for me from the '89 Cup. I know a great memory for Hamilton fans.
And one of the great catches in Grey Cup history, wasn't it?
No question. Maybe in the history of the game. But Matthew Bertrand is a fullback, not a talented wide receiver. It's a little too much to ask for your fullback to make those kind of catches.
2nd and 10. Gray has Fred Stamps, and Ryan Hines, the young corner there, won't let him get away. Nice play by Hines, the North Toronto product, in his 2nd start on the corner for the Ticats.
Yeah, he won the job. I mean, it wasn't about the Canadian ratio or anything like that. It was about Ryan Hines just continuing to improve through practice, and he sees Fred Stamps sit down there, so he just closes quickly from the corner spot and makes a sure tackle to force the Edmonton Eskimos to kick a field goal here, or at least attempt one. There's Jason Tucker talking to Fred Stamps, and Stamps will tell you, without being poked and prodded too much, that he gives a lot of credit to Jason Tucker for his development.
Been a great year for Noel Prefontaine. 15 for 16 inside the 40, and this will be from 39 yards out. And he continues to succeed with a upright splitter from 39. It's a 10-point Ticat lead. Well, in the first half, Glenn mentioned the great community work of Marwan Hage, and with more, here's Sarah Orleski.
Well, Chris, as we head into this Thanksgiving weekend, I know a lot of people in the Hamilton area are thankful for the contributions that Marwan Hage makes to this community. For the 3rd consecutive year, his Hage's Hero program will be giving out Thanksgiving meal boxes to some of those in need here in the Hamilton area, approximately 2,000 this year. Now, he's also trying to extend it into Christmas, and this year he's putting on a charity dinner this month in order to try to raise money so that they can get kids Christmas gifts as well. He's trying to make his contributions felt in the community all year long.
Well, he certainly does, and the guy on the receiving end, Dave Stalla, has done his part too. He has a big group from the local YMCA here, but Marwan has been front and center for a number of years here as one of the most active Ticats in the community.
So many appearances, so many good deeds that he does off the field, but this is a guy that was drafted in the 2nd round in '04. The last 3 years, all the work he's done with the kids, outstanding. He has not missed a game. He has not missed a start in the last 3 years. Marwan Hage has been there.
Marcel Belfay saying that he's gone from a good center into the elite category now. And here's Cobb, and Javi Glatt and TJ Hill met him there, and still Cobb should have enough for the first down.
Both running backs, as the panel mentioned at halftime, been a little quiet in this game, but we're starting to see both teams go to their running game a little bit more in this 2nd half, and that's a little bit of self-scouting at halftime by the offensive coaches to say, you know, what are we missing? Okay, let's go back and go a little bit back to the balance we need in the offense.
First down, the fake to Cobb, and Stalla makes the first man miss. And up at midfield, has 8 more.
Well, you really do have to just get back on the horse when you get hit like Dave Stalla got hit last week by Elliot Richardson, and there's really no magic secret to it. You just got to get back out there, go back across the middle, take those hits, and he's taken a couple here tonight, and just shake it off and get back on the saddle. And interesting that Kevin Glenn didn't go up to Stala after that big hit and say, hey, sorry, I let you out in front. I put it out there in front of you a little bit too much. He went to Stala's girlfriend. He said, sorry, I almost got your guy hurt there, but of course they're all happy to see him back in the lineup tonight.
Stala up to 91 yards on the day, and again short yardage, and Cobb drilled back. Let's see what forward progress they give him, if any, as he was stopped right about the line of scrimmage.
This is a long one. This is a long yard, and decision time for Marcel Belfait. He's got a 10-point lead at midfield. I don't think he'll take chances here.
No, in fact, they mark him short of midfield, and it's going to be third and a full 2. So no discussion necessary.
Yeah, no, at 2 yards, there's no option. Javi Glatt stepped into that one as well.
Tristan Jackson has looked dangerous tonight, but so is Eric Wilbur on his kicks, as he has done a good job of hitting the corners against Edmonton and not allowing Jackson to get his hands on the ball as much as he'd like. This one not his best, and it'll bounce back. And it's picked up by Javi Glatt, and that gets the no yards. And Glatt up to around the 39-yard line. Our sack tally is brought to you by Purelator, tackling hunger across Canada. Check. And yet no donations tonight on Thanksgiving weekend.
Well, we've checked them because those are the two teams playing, but no donations tonight. Now, we do have a lot of game to be played here, so we'll see if Stevie Baggs right now and that defensive line, the Hamilton Tiger Cats, can get it going.
Of course, the Ticats are the stingiest allowing sacks this year. There's McCarty inside, up near the 44-yard line, close to 5 for Calvin McCarty.
And we've already talked about how Edmonton's offensive line has been so much better over the last 2 games, allowing just 1 sack in 2 games up front. Looks like McCarty's limping a little bit back to that huddle.
Eskimos down by 10. Second and 5. 5 receivers out. And Bertrand, the fullback's got it, and that'll move the chains. Jamal Johnson in coverage.
I mentioned a couple times Stevie Baggs has been a little quiet when it comes to getting after the quarterback, and one of the reasons for that is they're lining up the tight end. In this case, it's fullback Matthew Bertrand out there to widen Baggs a little bit, and then he works one-on-one on Jeremy Parquet, and it's a quick passing game. So he takes a couple steps up, little hit, shake and bake. Parquet is not fooled at all, and the ball out of Ricky Ray's hands.
Big toss, the reverse, and that is snuffed, and Justin Hickman blew up the play. And it's a big loss back to the 43.
Justin Hickman got a matchup that he wanted to, and when you send the bunch formation, you've got a bunch here. Those are receivers, and watch Justin Hickman say, you know what, I'm going. You know, if you're going to put a receiver on me, I'm just going to run right by him. Tyler Scott was just going, yeah, that's a big guy. I don't know.
Second and 18. Time, and a crosser to Nowacki, and he is leveled. Big hit there by Jamal Johnson, and that'll force the Eskimos to kick it away.
I think Ricky Ray wanted a little more time here. It started to collapse on him. Garrett McIntyre came up through the middle. He's right here. I think Ricky Ray was waiting for this to develop. He saw some movement from the safety, Dylan Barker, to the weak side, and as he saw Garrett McIntyre coming to him, he had to dump it over the top and well underneath, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats rallied to the tackle.
So Prefontaine gets set to kick. 2 men back for the Ticats. Thigpen and McDaniel. Big kick. Big boot. The Thigpen's going to let it bounce into the end zone and out for a single point. And a 9-point Hamilton lead with under 3 minutes left, third quarter. Closed captioning of the CFL on TSN is brought to you by TELUS, proud sponsor of the Canadian Football League. That was an 81-yard single by Noel Prefontaine, his longest boot of the year. And the Ticats will scrimmage at their 35-yard line. Take the Cobb. And into the hands of Arlen Bruce. And dropped at around the 50-yard line as he scampers for 16. Well, tonight we've got mic'd up Rod Davis of the Eskimos.
Friday night football. Gotta love it. Lights on, Friday. Make me think I'm back in high school. Let's get it. Eskimos.
Gaps on, gaps on. I told you.
Our sounds of the game brought to you by the all-new Ford Super Duty. DeAndre Cobb takes the handoff and up to the 54-yard line. 4 for Cobb.
And Rod Davis made the tackle because he must have known that we were going to show him and isolate him with the mic on for us tonight as he steps up, and real nice job of getting past that block from Marwan Hage and stepping in and making a tackle on DeAndre Cobb.
Extra film time with Mark Nelson in the last few weeks, and Rod Davis has made a big impact here in a couple of weeks with interceptions, and tonight the hands on the football a couple of times, unable to bring it down, but starting to play with the promise the Eskimos felt that they had when they brought him up last year.
This is going to be interesting again. This is the second time that Marcel Belfay is going to be forced, I think, to punt the football with just 1.5 yards to 2 yards to go. They're just a little bit short because of that play by the linebackers and the front 7 of the Edmonton Eskimos. They're rallying to the football quickly, especially on second down.
No hesitation again. It's a full 2 yards again, and Wilbur comes on. The wind, which was a crosswind when the game started, appears to be in the face of the Ticats now. But Wilbur throws it. Jackson's going to let that bounce, and it wasn't going to the end zone, so he fields it, gets the no yards call, and around the Edmonton 10-yard line, a 44-yard boot by Eric Wilbur.
No yards. Hamilton number 7, 5-yard penalty. First down.
Bo Smith called. Tomorrow we head overseas to Prague for the NHL on TSN as the Phoenix Coyotes take on Big Zdeno Chara and the Boston Bruins live from the Czech Republic. Coverage gets underway at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific.
There's still a team in Phoenix, huh?
All right. Not moving to Hamilton anytime soon.
Not yet, no.
Ricky Ray to work, look out, Marquise Knowlton. They dump it off underneath, and Calvin McCarty makes a couple out of what looked like a near disaster for Ricky Ray and the Eskimos.
Ricky Ray is going to turn his back to the play here because of the type of play action. Marquise Knowlton's coming off the edge, and he's just timing it up perfectly. You see how he turns his back for play action to Calvin McCarty. When he turns around, 25's right in his grill.
Boy, game in, game out, Marquise Knowlton just seems to be around the football, doesn't he?
They call him Gibson's finest, his teammates.
2nd and 8, final play, third quarter. Kamal Peterson the catch, and he'll be brought down, looks like short of the first down. We're through 3 quarters at Ivor Wynne. The home side up by 9. Our third quarter numbers are brought to you by Tim Hortons, proud sponsor of the CFL.
The points off turnovers have been 2 crucial turnovers, where those 7 points, when you think about Stala's fumble, turned into an Edmonton touchdown, and Stala's touchdown after an Edmonton fumble. Not much rushing yards in this game.
No, and not many yards for the Edmonton Eskimos in that third quarter. They were held to 40 yards, so the Hamilton defense continues to be a big story tonight.
Without question, they've come a long way from the last couple of games. This is a defense that in the last 3 games has given up over 33 points per game, while they're holding Edmonton well under that right now.
And they forced the Eskimos to kick it away to start the fourth quarter. High boot by Prefontaine will bounce down around midfield and out at the Ticat 52-yard line. Kevin Glenn has gone over 4,000 yards in this game, and that's rare territory for Hamilton Ticat quarterbacks.
Yeah, when you think of the history of this team, well over 100 years, and Danny McManus has done it 6 times. Tom Clements, Dieter Brock are on that list, and now Kevin Glenn. Over 4,000 tonight. You just seems there should be more names, but
yeah. And on his way, he was on pace for 52-62 on the year, which would be a career high, and that'll add to it. Arlen Bruce inside the 10, touchdown. That'll pad some stats and the lead, 58 yards. Kevin Glenn to Arlen Bruce.
And now I can say it. Bruce Almighty strikes again.
Looks like he wanted to take a seat, but he's brought the fans here at Ivor Wynne out of their seats.
And this time, Kevin Glenn to Arlen Bruce, and they hook up. They try to couple back in the first half, just missed. Yeah, I'm going to relax, put my feet up.
Now the league leader once again in receiving. And his 7th touchdown, they botched a convert. Now they'll try and throw for 2. And they're going to get a pass interference call. They will. Pass to Augie Baranachea, the former Eskimo, and he got tackled before the ball arrived.
Now this is called the fire drill. When the holder messes up, whether it be
pass interference, Edmonton, number 38, the ball will be placed on the 1-yard line. We'll repeat the convert.
That's Tristan Jackson.
You know, whether it be a field goal or a convert, the holder, whether it's a bad snap or not, if he messes up and it's just a bit outside here, it's called the fire drill. You yell fire, and that end man on the line of scrimmage, Augie Baranachea, comes out, becomes a receiver, and that hit a little early from Tristan Jackson.
Well, block there from Sandro DeAngelis. Tafralis, the third quarterback for the Ticats.
Now do they decide to...
There's Sandro. Just buying enough time. For Tafralis to pick out a receiver, and now the decision is, do you go for 2 from the 1, or do you kick away? Quentin Porter in, so they're going to go for 2. Try and make it a 17-point lead instead of 16.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if it's as much about the 2-point chart as it is about you're on the 1-yard line now. You don't have to get that chance when you're kicking, when you're going for the extra point. So why not take a crack at it now?
With Garrett McIntyre, second man is Cobb, and he'll get in. There's a 2-pointer for the Ticats, and they do lead by 17.
We will get you back to Ivor Wynne momentarily, but we are a week away from Wendy's Kick for a Million, the big show down at Rogers Center. And tonight at Ivor Wynne, Schultz, it was the semifinal between these two guys.
Yes.
Kent Wingert from St. Catharines, Ontario, nearby. He was kind of the hometown favorite there. And Darryl Roach from Viscount, Saskatchewan. So away we go, boys. Here we go. It was a total points effort here. This is Darryl Roach. Starting things off, he is...
The toe punch is so unreliable.
That was from 30 yards. Had no shot. Kent Wingert takes his first kick, nails it from 30 for an early lead. That's off the crosser, Matty. So on to the money balls. Worth double the points. Here's Darryl. Has 0 points at this point. Needed this, but misses. So there is Schultze from St. Catharines, Ontario. We're going to meet Kent Wingert and his family as he kicks for $1 million. 7.7 million total entries,
That's
Matty.
awesome. That is beautiful.
We'll see you next week. Wendy's Kick for $1 million.
The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by the 2011 GMC Sierra Heavy Duty. Never send a truck to do a Sierra's job. Arlen Bruce with his 5th catch of the night has 117 yards and a touchdown. And on that 58-yarder, Kevin Glenn over 300 on the night. Line drive boot and Tristan Jackson. Not much there. Fumbled the football. And who's got it? Mark Beswick says the Ticats have it. And they're still battling at the bottom of that pile. And it's going to be Edmonton football.
Brian Taylor, the back judge, or the field judge, I should say, was digging for that. He was down there just digging to see who got possession of that football.
Well, a kickoff fumble to start the second half was costly for the Eskimos. Couldn't afford another. Take another look at the Bruce touchdown.
Well, Chris Thompson here is going to drop to the zone. That's why he leaves Arlen Bruce down the seam. Now, the guy that's deep here is Randy Drew. You see, that's just a short coverage. Here comes Randy Drew. He's not there in time right there.
Ricky Ray on the backfield. Calvin McCarty. And he's brought down by Bo Smith after first contact.
Let's go back to that play again, Chris. I just want to show you quickly. See, that's the short zone right here. Now, you know if Chris Thompson is there, that there's got to be a deep defender. In this case, it's Randy Drew, who's just to the right of your screen. Here he comes, number 10. Now, he is inside too far because of the second seam by Marquay McDaniel, who gets a piece of him, and that's why Arlen Bruce is so wide open down that seam, down that hash mark. Bruce Almighty with a big catch.
2nd and 6. Bertrand as a receiver again makes the catch and a first down. So Matt Bertrand getting more action as a receiver in the Edmonton offense without Jason Barnes.
Garrett McIntyre is now rushing the quarterback, but on that 2-point convert, he was playing fullback, and I want to show you the block that got this team 2 points right here in a crucial situation. It's going to be Rod Davis, as well as Rod Davis played. How about that block right at the point of attack? That gives DeAndre Cobb just a second to bounce outside and then get the corner. Big defensive lineman playing down in short yardage.
Eskimo first down. Ricky Ray dumps it off, and McCarty. He wrestled to the turf at the 37. Otis Floyd there. Glenn, this is the 8th time in the game that the Eskimos have started to drive inside their own 25.
Yeah, field position has been an issue, and the play of the defense has improved for Hamilton. Garrett McIntyre there with a nice little swim move inside, forced Ricky Ray to step to his right and dump it down. He didn't have time to look down the field because of it. McIntyre's playing better.
Second and 5. And an open man again as Bertrand over the middle. Fumbles the football. Ticats on it. Still loose. And it is Hamilton football.
Get Marquise Knowlton.
It is indeed Marquise Knowlton. A nose for the football. And another Edmonton turnover. Wendy's CFL on TSN. Friday Night Football is brought to you in part by Wendy's Baconator, the official hamburger of the CFL. And by Rona, proud sponsor of the Canadian Football League. Rona doing it right. Third turnover of the game committed by the Eskimos. Second fumble for Bertrand. Ticats' average start the second half has been midfield to 55. And Glenn going for more, and flags fly as Jason Goss will be called for pass interference.
Yeah, and the contact was just before the ball arrived.
Pass interference. Edmonton number 4. First down.
Seen the matchup just before the end of the first half. Here it is again. Maurice Mann on the top of your screen is going to work on Jason Goss on the slant route. And pretty good coverage right here. He's in good position here. Then the contact's made in the back just before the ball arrives. A good call by the official.
So it's a first down just outside the 30. Cobb to the 25. And T.J. Hill, Kai Ellis with the tackle.
I'll show you the linebacker play for the Hamilton Tiger Cats on the fumble. There they are, 1, 2, 3 across the board. Jamal Johnson, Otis Floyd, Mark Keith Knowlton, all are involved. They're going to drop in their zone here after they recognize pass. Now it's Jamal Johnson with the hit and the forced fumble. And here comes 25, Mark Keith Knowlton. And I've mentioned his teammates call him Gibson's finest because he's always the player of the game in their mind.
Second down and open man. Another first down for the Tiger Cats.
Or maybe it's his drink of choice. I'm not sure. But
it could be all of the above.
It could be all of the above because you mentioned it earlier, Chris. Mark Keith Knowlton just seems to be sort of, he's not the boisterous guy like Otis Floyd. He doesn't make as many tackles as Jamal Johnson. He just makes plays. I mean, 3 fumble recoveries, 2 interceptions. He's got the knockdowns. He's got sacks. He does it all.
Greg Marshall thought he was the top defensive player in the league last year. Catch by Mann sets up a first down. Kevin Glenn, short drop, pump, looks to the end zone. And he's got it. Mark McDaniel, touchdown. Third touchdown pass of the second half for Kevin Glenn.
And Kevin Glenn has time to have a sandwich and a coffee in the pocket. He looks at his first read. It's not there. He looks at his second right there, and he steps up, and he looks at his second read, and it's Mark McDaniel, touchdown the back of the end zone.
6 touchdown catch for number 6, and Kevin Glenn has tossed his 25th touchdown pass of the season. Execute the 1-point convert this time as the Ticats open it up here in the second half.
Marquay McDaniel is inside receiver to the short side of the field for Kevin Glenn. He's got a couple of options here, and I'm going to show you how he freezes Jason Goss. Here's his options. Number 1 here is Maurice Mann. Number 2 is Marquay McDaniel. And because he's looking in this direction, he's freezing Jason Goss in the back of the end zone there. He allows his second read to get open in behind him. Touchdown for Hamilton.
Tristan Jackson on the return. And out to the 25-yard line. This is the 5th time the Ticats have put 30-plus on the board, and all the weapons being used in the second half. A touchdown for Stala, touchdown for Bruce, and now one for Marquay McDaniel.
You know, they broke a trend here. The Hamilton Tiger Cats were not good offensively in the third quarter. In 13 games coming in, they had scored just 35 points total in 13 games. The third quarter was a disaster for this team offensively. They came out, got the fumble out of the gate from the Edmonton Eskimos, and Dave Stala found the end zone and a touchdown, 7 points, which doubles their average in the third quarter. And they haven't looked back since.
Red stamps. And he is tripped up by Bo Smith, the corner. And this is the Ticat team that's teased a lot of people this year.
Yeah.
With their on-paper talent, and we've been waiting for this kind of thorough 60-minute performance. And it's a big night for the defense and a big game for now Kevin Glenn in the offense.
With that play of the defense, Kevin Strasser, the offensive coordinator, now has to get out of this quick game that's been so successful in the last 2 for Edmonton. They're going to have to push the ball now.
Second and 8. Pressure. Ray stands in and now has to take off, and he's pulled down. And there's Stevie Baggs. His second sack as a Ticat.
He got his first against his former team, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, in his first game back a couple ago. Did not have one last week. Speed rush around the edge on Greg Voigt there. Now he is setting up, when he runs that type of rush around the corner, his patented spin move. And it's been a while since we've seen anyone do the spin move like Stevie Baggs can, and he's just going to set up offensive linemen like he does on that with a speed move first and then come back to it.
Fontaine kicks it away. The short kick, McDaniel at midfield. And here again, the Ticats will start in great field position, this time at the Edmonton 53.
Chris, you mentioned how this team has been teasing their fans a little bit because they have so much talent, including Arlan Bruce, Dave Stala, Marquay McDaniel, that are on pace for 1,000-yard seasons. That's never happened for the Hamilton Tiger Cats to have 3 receivers over 1,000. They have a quarterback who's a veteran of 10 years in the CFL, an offensive line that's young and growing together, and a pretty good front seven when you look at them, and they're saying, when is this team going to break out?
All 3 have a touchdown tonight. They've combined for 238 of the passing yards. Cobb, little shake down to the 50, has 3. Cobb has a touchdown as well. So again, it has been a diversified Hamilton attack. But the headline story tomorrow likely will be how good they've been on defense tonight in response to last week as Marwan Hage shake it up. And the big center is going to need some help.
And the guy most concerned right there is the quarterback, Kevin Glenn, who's first over to check out his offensive line. You know, the quarterbacks, as soon as he sees one of his guys go down, they're most concerned.
Remember the first week of the year when they gave up all those sacks against Winnipeg, and now Kevin Glenn has been so well protected this year by Hage and company, and this team now leads the league in protecting the quarterback, allowing only 23 sacks this season. And hard to see what happened to Marwan Hage, as Mark DeWitt checked that Brian Ramsey will move in.
Brian Ramsey out of New Mexico. Let's take a look at Marwan Hage. He's looks like he gets rolled on there. Rod Davis and Peter Diakowski were tied up and went down. And was Marwan Hage underneath that? Looks like he'll be okay. He got stepped on. Looked like he's grabbing his chin.
So Brian Ramsey will move in. And the backup offensive tackle is going to snap the football here. And a shotgun snap to start on 2nd and 7. And Kevin Glenn's got McDaniel again, and he can't make the over-the-shoulder catch.
Just about Marquay McDaniel trying to find the ball, because as he came out of his break, that ball was already in the air. Kevin Glenn throws enough air under it to allow him to adjust. Now he's got to find it. It's over that inside shoulder. He tries to fight his way back, but he is open. Nice move getting Randy Drew turned around a little bit. And just inches away.
So Eric Wilbur back on to punt. And he's been in this pin range just about all game long. Trying to back him up again. Not a great fit. And that hit an Eskimo. And the Ticats are on it. Well, let's see how they rule it with flags down. It likely will be no yards as the Eskimo hit was accompanied downfield by a Tiger Cat step for step with him. So, although Hamilton may have got on the ball, it will be Edmonton football in all likelihood.
I think Bo Smith was close to the Edmonton Eskimo that it hit. It might have been Rod Davis. No, it wasn't. Let's take a look here. Weldon Brown was covering. I know they are coming back to block on the return. Let's take another look. Weldon Brown, oh, there they are. It's Weldon Brown and Bo Smith, and you can see it hit him. Now, Smith inside that 5-yard zone when it hits an Eskimo, so it'll be no yards in Edmonton's
No yards. Hamilton, number 7. That's a 15-yard penalty. At the end of the play, major foul. Unnecessary roughness. Hamilton, number 51. The end result will be up 10 yards, 30 yards, first down Edmonton.
Well, the long snapper Jordan Matichuk called, the Yorkton, Saskatchewan native.
Matichuk right there tried to clear the pile. His offensive lineman trying to cruise and clear the pile, and he drills Tristan Jackson, puts him on his backside.
So Jared Zabransky comes in, and Ricky Ray's night is done. Ray with only 7 complete games on the year. Ben Zabransky, little shovel to McCarty. That opens up, and Gavin McCarty will be dropped at the 37-yard line of the Tiger Cats. So Ricky Ray held to under 200 yards tonight, 182 for Ricky Ray, and here we are in the 14th game of the year, and he has finished only half of them.
Yeah, and you know, when you think about any given Friday night in the Canadian Football League, last week, same team, home game, I get that, but 384 and completed 77%, really had his way with his defense. Different story tonight on the road.
Lost a weapon in Jason Barnes late in the first half. Zabransky, Hickman in pursuit, and he underhands it and completes the pass. Daniel Porter with the catch. A couple of yards to the 35 as Zabransky improvises.
I believe it was Justin Hickman that was in chase, and Hickman does a good job here not to grab the collar, the shoulder pads of Jared Zabransky and pull him down from behind, because it would be a horse collar tackle. Watch, he grabs him there, and then he waits to get another step so he can make the clean tackle, and I guess they were ruling that touched the ground. As they blew the whistle quickly. Oh, they did give him the catch.
But no gain on the play. It's 2nd and 10. 6 receivers out for Zabransky. Here comes the rush. And Dylan Barker's got him. The safety blitz gets to the Eskimo quarterback. And Barker, who had a big first half, makes his biggest play of the second half on that sack.
It's been Dylan Barker's best game of the 2010 season, and he may have just arrived as the starting safety and leader in this defensive secondary. Comes up to the line of scrimmage, comes off the edge, plays it well. You know, this time he doesn't come in too short and too shallow. He comes in, he hesitates a little, and then stays wide. He knows how well Jared Zabransky can run the football, so a real controlled rush. Patrick Bongo can't get to him, and a great tackle in the backfield. That's his 3rd big play of this game. 2 in the first half, and then that one.
Well, heat from Ray Marius on the other side, and it's the 2nd sack of the game for the Cats. After the Eskimos had given up only 1 in the last 2 weeks. Loss of 17. Fontaine with the kick.
Make the tackle, make the tackle, make the tackle.
And Thigpen finally gets it inside the 15 and gets drilled. Well, our game story is brought to you by Mr. Lube.
Edmonton Eskimos lost Maurice Lloyd, their middle linebacker, and Jason Barnes from the receiving corps in the first half. Stala returns to this game and has a big touchdown to start the second half off a turnover from the Edmonton Eskimos. Another big game by Bruce Almighty. Ricky Ray, what a different story for him when you compare tonight to last night. Kevin Glenn, over 4,000 passing yards on the season, and not many Ticats have accomplished that. Dieter Brock.
15-yard penalty. First down.
Face mask penalty against the Eskimos. Didn't get the number. But that gets the Ticats out of a bit of a hole.
Tom Clements and Danny McManus, along with Dieter Brock and now Kevin Glenn. Over 4,000 yards, and we take a look. Quentin Porter.
I like those names to be in that group. Quentin Porter in now at quarterback, and the handoff for short yardage.
Last week, Kevin Glenn completed 70%, had just shy of 300 yards, but through the one interception that was costly. This time over 300 and 3 touchdowns, avoiding the interception. Real solid game by Kevin Glenn.
25 touchdowns on the year for Kevin Glenn. And an important win to get them back to 500, to get them 2 points up on the Argos. So they've got the tiebreaker with Toronto, but I don't think they wanted to head into Toronto next week. Even with the Argos, and they still might if Toronto can win in Saskatchewan. Quentin Porter on a roll. He's got Bruce again. A completion into Edmonton territory at the Eskimo 53 as they give the 3-minute warning here at Ivor Wynn. Monday, it's the traditional Thanksgiving Day doubleheader of CFL on TSN action. First up, the Stampeders and the Alouettes in Montreal. Following that, the Lions and the Blue Bombers. Live coverage gets underway at 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific, and both games should be pretty interesting.
Can the Montreal Alouettes bounce back? Boy, DeAndre Cobb on that last play got Quentin Porter outside. Was it ever a nice crackdown block?
Porter hooking up with Arlen Bruce for 25 yards. Now he'll give it to Cobb, and Cobb with a good run before TJ Hill brings him down at the Eskimo 46.
DeAndre Cobb here is going to come down. Now, in order for Quentin Porter, I want to show it to you, to get the edge like this, he's got to get that block from DeAndre Cobb, and it's a good one. I believe it's on Kai Ellis. He just seals the edge, and now Quentin Porter outside. He's got all time to throw, and he finds Arlen Bruce on the sideline. That's why they're in the field position they're in. That nice crackback block by DeAndre Cobb.
2nd and 3. Back to Cobb, straight ahead, and he should have the first down. Ticats have outscored the Eskimos 15-0 in the fourth quarter tonight. And for Edmonton on the year, they've been outscored 138-65 in the fourth quarter. They start slow and they don't finish well. And that's been the story of their season as they are about to lose their 10th of the year.
And Kevin Glenn about to improve to 11-10 as a starter for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, but more importantly, end a 2-game losing streak.
And looks like time count violation.
Time count violation. Hamilton number 12. This is a loss of down. Timer, please reset the clock. That's okay.
So the loss of down brings up 2nd and 10. Adam Braidwood scurrying to the sidelines as the Eskimos make a change in that defense, bringing in an extra DB. Porter looking for McDaniel, and that's knocked down. Good defensive play that time by Randy Drew.
Yeah, you know that the team's watching the BC Lions, who will play against Winnipeg on Monday. Watching this game, they were in the review mirror, the Edmonton Eskimos, for the Lions. Hamilton Tiger Cats and Toronto fighting for that home playoff game.
That Monday game for Winnipeg has must-win written all over it. Line drive by Wilbur is looking for the corner and won't get it. And another single point. It's now 36-11 for the Tiger Cats. Time now for the TSN turning point.
Well, it was a three-point game. The Edmonton Eskimos got a late touchdown to end the first half, and then on the opening kickoff of the second half, Matthew Bertrand fumbles the football. It's recovered by Stevie Baggs. That led to a Dave Stala touchdown, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats did not look back from there. And it was a valuable touchdown in the third quarter, one that's been hard to come by for Hamilton.
TSN Turning Point brought to you by Wendy's Baconator, the official hamburger of the CFL. And with that single by Wilbur, the Tiger Cats have outscored the Eskimos 23-4 here in the second half. Zabransky back in for his second series, and a good run here by Porter. Daniel Porter pushed out at the 50-yard line, has 15.
Well, the Hamilton Tiger Cats will play Toronto, as you mentioned. They play Saskatchewan at Mosaic Stadium. Then they got Montreal, Calgary, BC. And a lot of people talking about this team and whether or not maybe they've gone as far as they can with Marcel Belfait. I totally disagree with that way of thinking. When you think back to the Saskatchewan Roughriders in 2002-2006, in that period of time, that football team were a mediocre team. They were a 9-9 team for a lot of that.
Zabransky with a lot of time, guns it to Rector, the catch and a first down at the Ticat 48. It seems like teams need a long time in the rebuild to kind of consolidate before they can take that next step to.
That's what I'm, and I'm relating it to Saskatchewan because in 02 to 06 they were, a third place team, fourth a couple times, basically 9-9 the last 3 years, and then in 07 they took off, became an elite team. They've got to stay the course here in Hamilton. Bob Bilbich can bring in the talent. Marcel Belfait is doing a good job of coaching this team.
Zabransky airing it out, looking down the sideline to Ryan Hines as his first Canadian Football League interception. Got down at the 20-yard line as he was in coverage against Jamaica Rector. There's a souvenir and another turnover, the fourth of the game by the Eskimos.
They've got the pieces they could use. They keep adding to that. They stay the course. A couple of 9-9 seasons, even if that's the way they end up this year. Get in the playoffs. A 10-8, 9-9 team. Take a run in the playoffs, and then they continue to build. And sooner or later, you end up with that elite status, that top-notch status as far as your team goes. And I really believe the Hamilton Tiger Cats have to stay the course with regards to that.
And now the Tiger Cats will just run out the clock. Marcel Belfait last week talked about being a better road team. They haven't been as dominant at home as the Ticats would like. This will be their fourth win at home against 3 losses.
But you can't keep making change. You can't keep just saying, you change the coach, you change the philosophy, you change the team, you're back at square one. Saskatchewan showed you go 3 or 4 years as a mediocre kind of team, middle of the road, then you become an elite team. And they have been that. Now, Hamilton can do the same thing.
Impressive second half as Kevin Glenn threw touchdown passes to Arlen Bruce, Dave Stala, and Markway McDaniel. Marcel Belfait's Hamilton Tiger Cats even their record at 7-7 as they snap a 2-game losing streak and put an end to the Edmonton Eskimos' 2-game win streak as the Eskimos now fall to 4-10. Again, the final here at Iverwin. Hamilton 36, Edmonton 11. So long from the Hammer. Sports Center is next.